They heard the music aspect of it and they thought noise. And that's exactly what we was bringing. We was bringing the noise.
I still always come back to that first record because I love how raw it was.
There was a lot of those situations with Tupac, mainly a couple I actually remember in Atlanta. I said, look, man, yo, I'm out. I can't do that.
You said that no one can disrespect women in front of you. How do you feel about women that disrespect themselves in hip-hop?
That's a very interesting question.
Today, a Nicki Minaj video or a Cardi B video is as close to pornography as it can possibly get.
How do you feel about DJ Academic saying the pioneers of hip-hop are dusty now?
Nothing has progressed, just like we just said, because that thinking should have progressed. So here we got a cat calling himself DJ who's not a DJ. How's that progression?
It's true.
Shots fired.
Facts, but that's just so funny.
Revolution is not an event. It's a process. Peace.
Red Pill Lions podcast. I'm Kevin Savo. This is Rocky Savo. That's Marc Savo. That's Richie B. And today we are joined by a hip hop legend. Professor Griff is in the building. Thank you so much for coming out and doing this, brother.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate that.
It is an absolute honor to have you here. And I could honestly tell people watching at home that Professor Griff is a friendly and hysterical dude to hang with. I mean, we've been hanging with Griff for the past 2 days, and you will laugh and you will have a good time, man. Everything is really not always as it seems. I even, told you when we first started talking that I met Chuck and Flav when I was 14 years old in Charlotte. It was one of the greatest nights of my life. And they were so friendly to hang with. They actually, Chuck, I just wanted to say hello to him. I just wanted to say, hey, thanks for the years of music.
Right.
I don't bug celebrities when I'm around them. My dad raised me that way. My dad knew people in the music business, brought us up around a lot of celebrities, and always told me, don't take too much of their time.
Right.
Don't spend too much time on, your record saved my life. My sister loves your shit. Just, shake their hand, say what's up. So I went to Chuck's brother. I said, hey, you got to let me say hi to Chuck. He says, yeah, you can come through. I go back there, and Chuck, instead of just saying like, hey, thanks for coming, invites me to come sit on the couch with him. So now I'm sitting next to Chuck. I'm like, and I'm kicking it with him. He's like, so what's going on? What's your name? Oh, so what's going on, Kevin? He signs my CD, and we're sitting there talking. Flav walks in, and I'm just like, Flav, come through. We're about to take a picture. And Flav comes right in like this and poses for the picture. So I'm having like the night of my life. That was still just one of the greatest nights of my life. And I think at one point, I had no clue where Lord was, but at one point I saw you from a distance. It looked like you liked keeping to yourself, and I was afraid of you. I was afraid to go up to you because I was like 14. I was like, Griff is
young white 14-year-old.
Yes,
every right to be afraid. No, I'm only
I was like, Griff is the super intense one, so I was intimidated, but. Yeah, Griff, you're a hell of a friendly dude. You showed us your music. You showed us your family. Griff's got a beautiful wife, a big family. They all make music together. They all make the music videos themselves together.
Creative as fuck as well, dude.
Griff has written several books. The latest is a children's book meant to educate children on the history of, I guess, not just hip hop, but black culture in music, you would say, right?
Well, mainly it's an ABC book. That's it. And then you get everything else as a bonus.
ABC, an easy ABC guide for kids ages 5 to 12.
Phenomenal idea as well.
An easy way for them to learn about legendary artists, because it just goes, as they're learning their ABCs, it goes through all of them.
You want to tell the viewers the title?
Yes, it's called You Are the Song You Sing.
That's facts as well. Great title.
And so, like, once you get to P, it's Public Enemy. You got Aretha Franklin. You have everybody's in here, and it's a
Bob Marley.
Yeah, everybody's in this. It's cool to look through. And when you get to the Public Enemy section, you also see how many people are considered to be a part of Public Enemy. That's something obviously always gets misconstrued, as people think of it as U3, but Public Enemy is a giant collective of everybody that made that music possible, which is what you guys always considered it, right?
Right, and I think Public Enemy now is an institution, almost morphing itself into a mindset, man. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times when I meet people, it's like, oh, they just point at me and start smiling. I was like, I see, like in the airport.
Right.
They don't even say anything anymore. It's like, I'm like, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, I was a part of that movement. I pulled from it. It got me through college. It got me through jail. It got me through yada, yada, yada. It got me kicked out of school. I got you, bro. Don't blame that shit on me. But anyway, but I understand what that means. It's nonverbal communication.
Yeah, and you said you consider it as you can never be out of Public Enemy if you were an originating member. Like I asked you, is Flav still in Public Enemy?
Right.
And Flav goes on and off with touring with Public Enemy, but you said nobody can ever be out of Public Enemy.
Exactly. I mean, once you in it, you in it. If it's something that you built, something that you gave birth to, you'll always be a part of it. Maurice White is no longer with us. He's now an ancestor. He's passed on.
Right.
But when you think of Earth, Wind, and Fire, you got to think of Maurice White. How could you?
100%.
How could you not? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Even when Bobby Brown left New Edition.
Also, real quick, I want to address something. I know that old heads are going to hit the comments and say, what do these young boys know about Public Enemy? And if you're going to say that, you better be prepared to list off every Public Enemy album, because I could list off every one of them right now. There's like 26 of them. So if you think there's only the 4 you grew up with, I know every album. And now listen, I was also saying this to Griff that think back to when we were in Charlotte. This is the interesting thing. I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sometimes it seems like you have such great success early on in your career, and then if you continue to make music, I guess past your prime, I don't know how much artists value the music they make later in their career compared to the music that catapulted them into fame. So I was telling you in the car, it's interesting to think that I'm 26, he's about to be 24, he's 20. So when we were in middle school, the Public Enemy that was relevant at that time was How You Sell Soul to a Soulless People That Sold Their Soul. It was Most of My Heroes Still Don't Appear on No Stamp.
Right.
Remember we had that record on the iPod that we would trade off taking to school?
Yep.
Yeah, and you would ride.
I just remember
All day on
being
the bus.
12 and then seeing like pictures of Kevin with Chuck D and Flavor Flav on Facebook. And I'm like, okay, I guess my brother's
being,
hanging out with Public Enemy.
I remember that being my first like introduction to rap almost through Kevin, because you learn music from your parents. Our father was very like rock orientated, and Kevin getting into rap like opened me to new doors and like firstly remembering Public Enemy.
Yeah, for sure. So here's a great place to start, I think. So since we're kind of in our come up stage, it's appropriate to ask, and mainly just because I really want to know. I want to know about when Public Enemy was first formed. You guys are young, you guys are kids, you're in Roosevelt, you're all friends. And when this thing started, the specific question I have is, when you watch a biography picture about a rap artist, say like the NWA movie, you have a scene that's the formation of the group. The next scene, they get a record deal. The scene following, they're printing up records. You never see the struggle period of how it came together. So from formation of you and Chuck getting together to when Public Enemy took off with the first record.
Right.
How many years in between? How hard did you have to try to get record labels to give the music attention? Can you walk me through that period?
The trying aspect was probably the least difficult thing, simply because it was DMC, Jam Master Jay, and them cats recognizing Chuck's ability. I mean, because you kind of figure when Chuck got on the mic, it was like God talking. You understand the dynamic intricacies of and the power of his voice. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we was a mobile DJ unit prior to that.
Yeah.
And then me, Chuck, and Flavor was in the African American experience at Hofstra University.
Right.
So we was working with one another. And because Roosevelt and Freeport Hempstead is not that big. So we were working with one another in different aspects of not only the music industry, but just getting to know one another in the hood.
Right.
You understand? So we knew one another. We were doing things together. So when the deal was offered to Chuck, it wasn't offered to the rest of us. It was Chuck that came and put the pieces together that made up Public Enemy. So my relationship with Chuck wasn't necessarily my relationship with Flavor.
I can imagine that.
Flavor's relationship with Chuck wasn't necessarily anyone else's relationship. It was that relationship. And Chuck was basically telling Def Jam, I'm not doing this without Flavor. I don't want to do the solo Chucky D kind of solo career thing. Absolutely not. So the concept and the idea was introduced by Chuck, Hank Shockley, and of course we had the Bomb Squad and other people that were involved. But it was like the concept of Public Enemy started and originated with Chuck, basically pulling everyone together, since he was the one with the deal, and then bringing Flavor along. So when you see the press photo, you'll see the S1Ws, in gear. You'll see Chuck, Flavor, and some white lawyers and some other people, Rick Rubin, some other people at Def Jam. Yeah.
See, but the way it always sounded to me, both with the way you just explained it now and the way I heard it explained in documentaries, it almost sounds instantaneous. It sounded like Chuck had this thing, he got offered a record deal and brought you and Flav in. So there were no years of struggling to try to get record labels to take notice. Like, they took notice of Chuck that quickly.
No, we didn't make records in the basement. Let me not leave that out.
Right. So
we made acetates.
Was that for like 5 years, 8 years?
You know, it wasn't one of them things where we were mocking time because it was new. We had a mobile DJ unit, like I said, and we was always doing music. I was in a couple of bands. You understand what I'm saying? Flavor was in a band, and we was always doing music.
Were labels hungrier for rap talent since rap was just born?
I think the hunger and the thirst was there. They couldn't quite figure out what they wanted to sign because they didn't know what it was.
Right, because it was that new.
It was that new, right? So especially when we came and brought what we were bringing, they really couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You mean to tell me you dudes ain't got dancers? Y'all ain't got this, that, and the other? Be like, nah, we got soldiers. We got a minister of information. We got a DJ that only speaks with his hands.
What was the turning point? Like we're on like the pinnacle of the show where we're starting to realize, oh, we're onto something great.
Right.
What was the turning point, and what was that like when you guys realized, this is something that's really coming together, and that we're onto something?
I mean, when cats like Molly Mall and other people start openly dissing us on the record, on the radio, no more music from the suckers. Breaking our records and all that.
Oh, who was that? What was he called? Mr. Magic?
Mr. Magic, not
Mr.
Molly.
He's passed, right?
Right. So it was one of those kind of things. I apologize, Molly. It was just one of those things where we like, oh, okay, so we getting some attention, but we're getting the attention in the wrong kind of way because little did they know it or not, because a lot of people in the industry, and we have to admit, wasn't that astute on what it was to be a black revolutionary.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They heard the music aspect of it and they thought noise. And that's exactly what we was bringing. We was bringing the noise.
Definitely.
Right.
For real.
So we're talking about, now are we talking, at this moment in time, what we're talking about, are we talking about when Yo Bum Rush the Show is being put together, or are we talking about 83, 84? Like, how far before Yo Bum Rush the Show is being recorded are these stories you're telling me? Is it years before then?
No,
is it right around the same time?
That was shortly before. There was an incubation period, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, but we weren't fixated on trying to get a quote-unquote deal. We was going to do it regardless, whether we was going to put it out ourselves or whatever.
Yeah, and Chuck didn't seem like he was fixated on getting a deal either. It seemed like he knew what he wanted from the jump. If there's actually one thing that is present in you and Chuck's personality and your vibe,
right?
You and Chuck seemed so ready for this thing to work the way it did. And that confidence kind of carried throughout your guys' career. You guys didn't seem like starstruck young kids like, wow, look, this is happening. You looked like, yeah, that was part of the plan. And then it just kind of looks like Flav gets dragged into it, like you be the funny guy. And he's like, oh, shit, fame. Right. But you and Chuck kept that same serious business demeanor that it seemed like you guys had from a very young age. You guys seemed like you had a very serious mentality towards this from a very young age.
Yeah, I think simply because from the outstart, we wanted to bring about a revolution. We wanted to bring about a mind revolution. And revolution is only a complete, constructive, conscious, cosmic change. We wanted to bring about that change. Whether people was with it or not, we didn't care.
Right.
There's these young white cats in Sheldon, Connecticut, somebody wanted to make a movie. Shit, they just did it. They didn't wait around.
True.
You understand what I'm saying? They did the damn thing. So look,
appreciate you.
You understand what I'm saying?
I was like, that sounds familiar. I'm like,
right, but that's the reason I'm asking. It's like we've made a feature film collectively. We must have all made, like, all together, everybody in this room, like 8-10 albums. We did 4 short films after the feature film.
Right.
We've done a lot, and this is still the lower end of the come up. That's kind of the reason I'm asking about this, is because it seemed like from all the stories I heard, Public Enemy was formed, or at least you and Chuck had an idea of what you wanted this thing to be.
No, I think Chuck and Hank Shockley, along with Keith Shockley, Eric Sadler, had the idea. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I brought an aspect in the formation part of it, as it was being founded, so to speak.
Okay.
What people knew as an intricate part of Public Enemy, because I held 4 positions. I was the road manager,
Right.
and I choreographed the show because S1Ws wanted and needed to do something on stage. We had to come up with the look. You understand what I'm saying? Aspects of what we were doing as far as interviews which we was giving people that wanted to interview us like classes. Like them interviews is like 2 and 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And that built Public Enemy and made Public Enemy very interesting. Other than, road managing and choreographing this, that, and the other, having to secure the group on and off stage and that kind of thing, that was a lot of responsibility, man. So I wore a lot of hats in the foundational incubation period of what people know as Public Enemy. If it wasn't for that, you would just have 2 rappers and a DJ.
Right.
But then the whole aspect of what Chuck helped create in reference to the mystique with Terminator X is something dynamic in and of itself.
I think the whole thing is a mystique. I know that X is more of a mystique character than the rest of you guys, but I think the whole thing made people question. You have the rapper, you have the hype man, but the
hype man can rap.
Yeah.
Right. The hype man can rap too, but then Griff, the S1Ws, this mystique DJ, that's people, the Uzis on stage.
Right.
That's what we talk about often on this show, because we talk about cancel culture, we talk about where the media is today, what makes people outraged today, and we talk about how by today's standards, they've moved on from being outraged by things like a group like Public Enemy or NWA, but back at that time, it scared the shit out of people.
Breaking the mold.
Yeah.
Doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so at that time, were you guys prepared for that? Were you like, we're doing something that is going to shock people?
No, we wasn't looking for the shock value.
You weren't. I know you
thing.
weren't.
And you said
but
it
did
earlier.
you know it would happen?
We didn't give a rat's ass whether or not if it happened. We was just like, it's a revolution.
Yeah.
And the revolution is not formed with hundreds of people in the room.
Right.
Any revolution that you study and you look at, it's only a group of people like here. As many people that sit in this room, we come up with an idea. This is the end. It's the end game. Everybody have duty and responsibility, and you go make it happen.
That purpose.
Exactly.
Music with a
so
purpose.
Right. Exactly. So you're working for one purpose, one common goal, and you make it happen. And we brought about a mind revolution. We wanted to change the thinking of the people in and outside of the music industry, and we did.
Yeah. In a major way.
Oh, give thanks.
Tell me briefly what it was like, and if you have any stories about the making of that first record, because I think of all the Public Enemy records, and I know all of them, I've listened to all of them, and I love all of them. And there's so many of them. Like if you haven't looked at Public Enemy's entire catalog, there's a lot of music to dive in there. But I think I still always come back to that first record because I love how raw it was. And I know there was the thing about the fact that by the time it came out, sampling was huge. And it was almost like it was an outdated sound by the time it was even released. So you got started on the second record. But
so much so that the first single was already kind of done. And people thought the third single, was off the first album.
Yeah.
Rebel.
Right.
So they didn't know that. No, that's new.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on the next album, so to speak. But the next album wasn't done yet.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
But so tell me about the making of that record. What was that like?
Well, when you look at the first single, you're going to get yours, or other than Public Enemy number one.
Still one of my favorites.
We were the same dudes in the parking garage with guns. If you really look at the 12-inch closely, we were the same dudes running with quote-unquote gang, the posse, the 98 posse. We was the same kind of cats, and so we understood and related to what they were doing. We just had something else in mind. You understand what I'm saying? And we brought it about. I think first budget may have been under $14,000, if that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it wasn't no money, but having your own studio, because we was DJs and already having equipment, it made it a lot easier.
And it brings about a sort of authentic feel in the music, doesn't it, when you have a low budget?
Yeah, when you
record
can get together and vibe.
Yeah.
With records that you can thumb through, like, and you samples, middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning, you in the studio, layering samples and that kind of thing. We actually created, our own sound.
Yeah, that record to me is like magic in a bottle. And I know the records that followed it were more commercially successful, but that first one, the raw sound of it, you get that vibe that hip hop is new, it was recently born, and already here's something that's already wildly different for this new genre.
Right. See, when you use terminology like that, that was never a part of our lexicon. We never talked like being relevant, commercial success. That language was like, man, get out of here with that. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
They could either take it or let it alone, but this is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? End of the story. Plain and simple. So we dared to take samples from speeches and put it on the album. We dared to take, different sounds that people wouldn't even think of flushing a toilet and sampling that and looping that, or a car screeching, or a riot going on, or whatever. We weren't afraid to do that because we didn't care what the quote unquote standard was, and we didn't look for commercial success. They weren't playing rap any old damn way, but 2:00 in the morning. They weren't. Mm-hmm. When you really think about that period, they weren't playing hip hop like that.
Right.
Not at all. You heard it in someone's car. You at that particular time. Are you familiar with cassette tapes? Right?
Oh yeah.
When you had a cassette tape, that was the shit. You swapped cassette tapes. You sold them. You copied someone else's. Mm-hmm. But that was the shit right there. The cassette tape for real. Yeah.
Let me ask a question. So what's it like? So while you guys are on this purpose and you're coming up, what's it like coming up with all this talent surrounding you and like being a part of all that talent, where it's like on one side it's motivating you, but you're picking up shit from each other? Because like I know, like working with a bunch of other creatives, I pick up so much shit. So what's it like coming up with so much talent surrounding you?
I think what you do is you just have you're open to inviting other people in with whatever talent they're bringing to the table, asking them to kind of like, it's almost like writing out some invitations to your party you're gonna have. Come on, you don't know what they're bringing. You have an idea what they're bringing. We didn't know someone like Eric Vietnam Sadler, was bringing the talent that he brought to the Bomb Squad. It's ridiculous, man.
And it pushes everybody else, right?
And then you never know, like it pushes everybody, but then again, you don't know what talent is lying in Flavor playing, 10, 12 instruments. Mm-hmm. So you get a chance to utilize that in the studio.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And when people look behind the scenes, they don't know it's him on bass or it's some other cats.
I never even thought about that.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you don't know you're pulling from this talent that's there.
How many records did he actually play an instrument on? Because I know Flav plays every instrument, but I didn't even think about the fact that there was actual instrumentation on the albums because of how much gets sampled in hip hop. I didn't even think about actual instruments on the records.
Well, back then, you don't necessarily have to go to the studio to kind of play on the track. You could play it in your pre-production studio, sample it, put some effects on it, and put it in the track. So I wasn't at every session, so I don't know how many tracks Flavor contributed to as far as being a musician.
Were you there for most of the sessions?
No. I was formulating. I had the duties of a road manager and moving the group across the country and in and out of the country. And being from a small place like Roosevelt, Long Island, New York, it was hard saying, okay, we about to go to damn Ireland.
That's true.
I've never left the country, man. I never left the country, man. I still don't even have a passport.
So it's difficult, man.
That's another funny thing. We are sitting here with a very worldly person, and across from you are three very unworldly people. Like you have played all over the place.
So when you're talking about talents, some talents are outwardly where you could see somebody playing or drums or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then you have those talents where you need other ears. Like even when you guys are making a film, he may see something that you guys don't see. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Everybody's a different piece to the puzzle.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the point that I wanted to make. It's like you develop talents in the process of you becoming.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You just didn't say, you didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a filmmaker. You may have said it to yourself and then you did the necessary things to become one, but in your becoming, you may pick up things from one another.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
No,
and
absolutely.
you learn to do the things in the family way.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And we did that. And I think all of us had something in common, and the thing that we had in common was bring about a circle back around, now bringing about a mind revolution and changing the thinking of the people in and outside of the music industry. That's a hard task when people are talking about gold chains at that time,
right?
And chicks and all having fun and all this
materialistic
other kind of
shit.
You talking about a whole group now coming in talking about revolution?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, It seems like you and Chuck were always very much on the same page. Something I've always been curious about is, although it seems like it, I'm wondering if I'm correct in my assumption. How often did you and Chuck hammer out the concept of a song before it was worked on? Because I'm sure Chuck needed to bounce it off of somebody.
Well, I think Chuck has this way of knowing, understanding where he wants to go. And if he has the conversation with you, you probably need a pair of extra ears or whatever. But it's like, I don't think an individual like Chuck, and I know I'm speaking for Chuck, but I think I can on this point.
Yeah.
He didn't need confirmation.
But how often did you guys bounce ideas off of each other?
Well, when you
and
start
concepts?
talking about, I got so much trouble on my mind, refuse to lose.
Yeah.
Here's your ticket, let a drummer get wicked. You don't need validation for that. You don't need to bounce that off anybody because it's your personal experience.
But more so, I mean, the theme of the song or the message of the song.
I think the idea and the concept is what you're driving at. It's the idea of it.
Yeah, because it's such conceptual music. There's a message in so much of it. A message that you and him are on the same page with.
I like to tell. We driving along, and we're always cracking jokes, man. And we always kind of talking. We'll take a serious subject dealing with global political science, tell some jokes about it, whatever. And even something as light as that, a song title may come out. We was on our way to the computer store, get a laptop fixed, man, and we was talking about the Bush family, and we ended up coming up with the title "Son of a Bush."
Son of a Bush, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Yep.
And that's the kind of, because we kept it light and we kept it loose. You understand what I'm saying? So, we could have a conversation about something funny, something jovial, something serious, and come up with a title and then build on it. So I may have went home and came up with the track, or Keith Shockley or somebody else, or Truck may have already have a track or whatever, and we just kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did anybody want to say something?
So it wasn't this long drawn out thing. This track needs to sound like this or whatever. I think we left room for all of us to kind of be creative. You understand what I'm saying? Now, of course, y'all already know there's different levels of making a song.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're discussing it on the way to the damn computer store, that's a whole lot different than coming up with tempo, what key the song is in, whether you're going, what's going to drive the song, whatever. Some of the songs like Bring the Noise, it was an accident that the drum track was backwards.
No shit.
Oh,
We
really?
just left it. And George Clinton and a few other people had that story. I think George Clinton was high one time, left to go get something to eat, came back, fucked around here, and played it in reverse. And thought that was the track. It was like, okay.
And everyone starts going.
Like, let that shit stay just like that. And
Right.
you build on it, man. And that's the beauty
Of art.
Of art.
Creativity, yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
And everybody just kind of bob and weave if you got something to say, because I'm going to
Yeah,
keep
keep
going
going.
if
Yeah,
nobody
of course.
stops me. Here's something I've always wanted to know. I always wanted to know where you and Chuck differ in political ideas and philosophy, because as much as you guys seem like you're on the same page, I know that you tend to get more conspiratorial. You would probably be the first one before Chuck to dive into, say, a subject about the Illuminati, the powers that be, the cabal that actually runs the world. Whereas certainly these days, Chuck today versus the Chuck of yesterday could be a little bit more media friendly and a little bit more political in terms of fitting in with ideas that are on the left and opposing ideas that are on the right, as opposed to where he initially stood, which was just like, fuck the system.
Well, you do have a different lens that you're viewing life through when you're 26 as opposed to 60.
I know, but since I admittedly, since I am 26, I'm hoping that everybody goes into their 60s still saying fuck the system. But I'm just saying, you have a lot of, I listened to your lectures. You have a lot of knowledge on how, and I've done a lot of research into how the world is really run.
Right.
You're very awake, you're very aware, you're very red pill. So I just always kind of wondered if you can actually be too radical for Chuck in personal conversation, where it's like, all right, Griff, you're veering too far into the Illuminati side of things, whereas I want to stay talking about like what's happening in the realm of politics, the way they tell it to us on TV.
Well, I think if you look at Public Enemy, you can look at the dynamics and the different people that hold that energy of those polarizing dynamics. Me and Flavor opposite, totally.
Clearly.
Chuck is probably the glue that holds it together. And he should be, because the deal was offered to him.
Right.
And he brought the elements together. I am not afraid to admit it, although a lot of people would like for me not to. I'm militant, radical as fuck. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people take this whole idea of addressing certain issues and not shying away, backing down, or acting like they don't exist. I'm not one of the ones to stick my head in the sand and act like it's not happening. If the fat ass fucking elephant is in the room, I'm gonna speak to it.
Right.
Plain and simple. So being militant and radical, that is the part of the soup that I brought to the kitchen and put it in the pot. It's like this what this shit needs to move that kind of unit forward.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
So this is the kind of person you were before everything got started.
Thank you.
There you go.
Exactly. So, but Chuck knew exactly what he was doing. It worked as long as we stayed in our roles.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And I think the individuals in their roles did it really well. You're not going to find any better cats that stood behind me called the S1Ws to do what they did.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to find a better DJ in and out of the studio, on or off the stage. Terminator X and DJ Lord and Johnny Juice.
Yeah.
You understand? You're not going to find better producers and the people that we worked with, some known and unknown. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to find a better writer that writes deep like that and can articulate some of the things that we have in discussion, private discussions about politics, end up being a song. It's like, okay, wow.
But real quick, that's what I want to know. The private conversations between you and Chuck about politics. I wonder if
That
you get too
you'll
radical.
probably never know.
I just want to know the simple.
World may never
I don't
know.
want you to listen. I don't want anybody to get it twisted. Chuck D is one of my heroes. I don't want you to out Chuck D, like private conversations. I'm just asking if you're too radical for him in the sense that I'll put it to you like this. I know that you and I could have a conversation about the evil cabal that runs the world, the Illuminati, how most politicians are puppets and they have people behind them pulling the strings.
Okay.
Whereas Chuck will lecture you on the importance of voting. And when we enter the conspiracy realm of conspiracy research, oftentimes the conversation comes up, why vote when they're all puppets?
Well, let's leave that, let's use that as an example.
Yeah, please.
And we can so we can get everyone on the same page.
Go ahead.
Real quick, in short, Chuck might say vote because voting is important to do X, Y, and Z and yada. And we never pointed to one person to vote for. If someone did that in the group, that was their own individual thing.
Okay.
My thing was like, fuck the vote.
That's what I figured.
I agree.
Democrats, Republicans are two wings of the same damn bird.
I agree.
Fuck the process. Fuck them. It's all a scam any old goddamn way. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
As a matter of fact, let's take all of that energy and galvanize all of these people, black, white, whatever complexion they are, and let's come up with a third party. Fuck the Democrats and fuck the Republicans. Now, Chuck may not agree with that or put that on a song, but that's what it is.
Right, exactly.
Now, am I going to back away from being honest, telling the truth, and being radical in my thinking and my approach? No, I'm going to back it up with militancy. I said it, and that's what the fuck I meant. Now, and what?
That's
So
what I
either
want.
you
like
could
that.
come to the table and debate me on it, and we be respectful, or like Snoop Dogg said, we could take it outside on some gangster shit. It don't fucking matter to me.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
And at
exactly.
62, I'm still standing.
Hell yeah.
My man.
Professor Griff, you're saying at 62 you're still standing. I just want to ask, Coolio just passed at 59, rest in peace. What's the secret to your health and longevity right now? What's your diet look like, and are you working out and stuff like
Well,
that?
partly not giving a fuck. No, only but yeah, I do work out. I have a beautiful, beautiful wife that knows how to operate in the doctor's office. And when I say the doctor's office, that's the kitchen. That's the place where we either gonna stay alive or we're gonna die. You understand what I'm saying? You are what you eat. Like you
Absolutely.
are what you think you are. You understand what I'm saying? I do work out. Me and my wife are black belts. She does the yoga thing, the meditation thing, and so yeah, we operate from a lifestyle and a diet, and when I say diet, I don't just mean with the food that you're putting in. I'm talking about the mental food also, the spiritual food that you put in. So and it's very critical that you should ask that, simply because when you start looking at the brothers that are checking out of here between 40 and 60 years old.
He showed me a list the other
There's
day.
a long list of them, right?
The list was crazy.
Crazy. And the things that they're dying of is preventable.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think if we were able to kind of put that in a bottle, put that on a record somewhere, and just give it out free inside of the music industry, man, I think we'd stay on the planet a lot longer, man. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of times, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, if you got 5 shows, 3 shows, hell, you get to the city, do the sound check, get something to eat, get some rest, go do the show, hang out, go to bed late, go to bed late, wake up early, and have to repeat that 5 times. That's wear and tear, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
It's like an athlete, same kind of schedule, just boom, boom, boom,
Exactly.
boom, boom. You're going and going.
That's wear and tear. So to answer your question directly, yes, I have to work out, have to meditate, have to eat right. And when I say eat right, it encompasses everything. Coming off the road, even if I take this small trip that I'm taking now and get back home, I got to cleanse from everything that I put in my body. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't look 62. Hopefully I don't think
Nah,
like
you
I'm
don't.
62.
You don't.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, seriously.
So I want to be able to have some longevity. So what I did a couple of weeks ago was look at, with a friend of mine, look at all of the MCs that are still in the game in their 50s and 60s. And then have the subject matter changed. How they're moving, has that changed? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Can that same individual stop and give a life lesson to those young artists coming up behind us? Like, how did you get to 62 and you still making music? And the same question you ask. You understand? How many times can people answer that same question you ask to these younger artists?
Right.
Younger artists are checking out here, but they're not checking out here because they got bad diets. This is bad. They're thinking it's bad.
Well, a lot of artists are getting murdered now
Exactly.
too, and they were still getting murdered back in the day, in like the beginning of hip hop, but now it's getting a lot worse. I
Right.
feel like all these other artists. But I have a question for you. What was it like, working with or talking with Pac?
That was almost like a fleeing moment now, because we were on the road and it was like, there's a couple of situations, and I know a lot of people might get mad at me. Being an older man, I wasn't with the cat calling and pulling on women and yo ma and blah 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 blah, because I had a high level of respect for not only black women but all women. I felt that I needed, because I grew up in a family. It's 13 of us. I'm the youngest dude, but I'm a black belt. I'm conscious. So I felt I was the protector. So I'm protecting 6 of my sisters, umpteen nieces and cousins and whatever. So I carried that same behavior out in the street. Into the hip hop rap game kind of thing. So seemed like I was always on post. You understand what I'm saying? So I didn't allow that around me. So even if we're out, hanging out, talking, kicking it, you can't disrespect women in my presence. Now I don't mind you kicking it, getting a phone number or 2 or whatever, but the whole level of disrespect I couldn't tolerate. And I think I mentioned this to you yesterday. The fact that a lot of people drink and smoke, I didn't tolerate that either. And it was like, damn, this motherfucker never have no damn fun. What can we hanging out, but we ain't gonna invite Griff. You understand what I'm saying? So some of those kind of situations, I just had to bow out, so to speak. And there was a lot of those situations, a few of them with Tupac, mainly a couple I actually remember in Atlanta, where I said, look, man, yo, I'm out. I can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? And it wasn't always disrespectful. It was just over the top for me. You understand what I'm saying? And maybe I was the overboard old square of the crew, but it was like, I had a high level of respect for myself, so I wasn't drinking and smoking. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't allow foolishness around me. So it was like, yeah, a lot of times I wasn't on the set, so to speak.
Drinking and smoking too is more normalized in the hip hop scene, no?
It's really, really normal. If you didn't do that, like a lot of cats just get lifted in the studio for inspiration. They had to be in another place.
But then it puts you in a situation where you're like, I can only create if I'm impaired. You know what I mean?
So a lot of times, in order to do that, you do that.
It's a slippery slope.
Exactly. So then how does that work with somebody that's a damn vegan, vegetarian, that's trying to live his life healthy? Going back to the question you asked, living his life healthy, having to be around that environment. That's why I said, when I say diet, it's just a lot more than what you're eating.
Yeah.
It's what you're surrounding yourself with. You understand what I'm saying? And that's important, because how in one breath I'm going to stand in front of the world as Professor Griff, Minister of Information, leader of the security of the first world for Public Enemy, and I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect the shit out of that because not a lot of people in that same like scenario, like if you respect Pac, you're around Pac, would be able to like, for their values, kind of like just be like, all right, Pac, I'll catch you later. I'm gonna step out and like you do your thing at this point. Because like that's why I respect the shit out of that. Because
Yeah,
to
but
be able to
also- but
stand
also
true
at
to
the
your
same-
values, though.
But at the same time, he was a kid to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know something? He mentioned Coolio. Coolio did not have to die at 59.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then what could we have done? We're going to look back, hindsight.
Was
Which
Coolio a
gives
heart
us-
attack?
Yeah, cardiac
Yeah.
arrest.
So what could have prevented that?
Do you know how old Pac was when you guys were like around this time?
Oh,
Well, he passed at 24, so.
right. So it had to be early 20s.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
digital underground kind of phase
Okay.
coming up out of that.
And at this point, was he already mainstream or?
They made him mainstream.
Yeah.
Tupac has always been his roots and his feet rooted in the underground, man,
Yeah.
on different levels. The revolutionary side of him, the artist side of him, the rough and tough side of him. You understand what I'm saying? Because from where he comes from.
Yeah, I was telling you the other day how it's funny to think that I'm older than Pac now. That Pac, like when he died, he was in this age group because of his wisdom. Because now that he's passed,
You thought he was so much older.
We don't you think of Pac as
Yeah, I
like
do.
a father type figure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With his wisdom, but being an older cat, older than him, and being in the game longer,
Right.
And being from a pioneering group like Public Enemy, when Pac came around, how did you look at him? Did you look at him like, wow, this young cat has such wisdom for a young age, or did you mostly see like the foolery from the perspective of an older guy,
not
the street crazy
not
shit,
the foolery, just an energetic,
the hyped energy?
energetic young kid that just I looked at him like, damn, this dude, he knows a lot more than the average cat his age. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then knowing understanding that Shakur bloodline. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the people that was surrounded him, it's like, wow, okay. But someone needed to harness that energy. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's Geminis though, man. You see both sides of them. Like,
Geminis.
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well, no, it's like I was saying to you, is Pac was amazingly wise beyond his years for most of us to have looked at him like that, because we do. Most of us think of Pac as like a man that has the wisdom of somebody twice the age he was, but he was our age. But the wild, crazy side, the hyped energy, the tendency to always want to call people out, hop in a fight, get wild. That's kind of what revealed his age. That's what reminded you this cat was only 24.
Right.
And I think, was it oh God, why is his name blanking on me right now? Arsenio Hall, wasn't it? Arsenio who said it seems like there's two Tupacs. He said that to him when he
Yeah,
had him on his
yep.
show. There's the wisdom and then there's the wild shit.
that's the Gemini.
That's what you're talking about.
Both
The
sides,
Gemini?
Yeah. And you saw that you saw a cat like a Harriet Tubman, man, knowing and having the wisdom that he had, going back to save his people, to bringing them up out of the condition that they're in. But then what are you taking them to? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of them songs, unlike you cats, a lot of them songs had to grow on me because I'm viewing this cat looking and anticipating, and I guess it was my fault because I looked at him, knew him, and was expecting something that he didn't quite deliver for me. And that was
At that time.
Right, a deeper degree of what he wanted to put in the lyrics, man.
And when he passed away, I imagine that struck you in the same vein of what we were saying about Coolio and the rest of them, as like, this did not need to happen.
Exactly.
This kid was
It
so
could- it
young.
could have been-
He had the world by the balls.
It could have been avoided, man. Even with Biggie, that could have been avoided.
It seems like all of it could have been avoided.
No, a lot of it can, but my thing is we're sitting here now. So then, going back to his point, who's going to be the next one?
Yeah.
The next one to die?
Yeah,
The next superstar to die?
because according to you, they're dying every other damn week.
Still, if it's not drugs, if it's not like these artists like growing up on like drug related music and then doing drugs themselves and then ODing, it's them posting their location and getting shot at or getting
Right.
shot or murdered,
But look at the vibrational frequency in the music. It's almost like, and let me give an example real quick. You ever been sad and break up with your girlfriend or whoever, and you sad? You don't go listen to music that's happy. Now, do you?
No.
Maybe a love song.
See, but that's not happy.
Yeah, not a happy love
Yeah.
song. They're all heartbreak
you
songs.
Feed your feeling,
I put on like
your
a
emotion. You feed that, and you put on
Common.
the song.
I used to love her by Common.
But you still feeding that. You don't go listen to the happy stuff.
Right. That's not
Now
a happy
you-
song.
Yeah, no. But so what's that? What is that called now?
Emotion?
Yeah, but emotion is not male or female. Emotion is just emotion.
Right.
It's,
What's-
it's a human thing. But you're feeding what aspect of that emotion. See, if I want to get out of this situation, then I'm going to listen to music that's going to take me out of the situation. Why do I listen to music that
Enabling?
keep me exactly?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we need to kind of start making and listening to the music that's going to bring us out of this condition that we're in. What he spoke on was durational suicide. I'm making this. I know I'm going to die sooner or later because the songs that I'm making, I know I might develop some ops because of these songs, because of these lyrics. It's almost durational suicide. I know I'm going to die, so
It's one thing to listen to the music when you're in that kind of state, but to be making the music reflecting the kind
I
of
feel
what
like
state
when
you're
someone
in is
of
crazy.
status too, like when they can write a song, and I feel like a part of them, like they write this song from this perspective that they're already gone, and I feel like them by doing that, they see it as like, if I die in the position I am now, I'm a legend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that, and it's sad, especially a lot of these young artists that are new in the game, like current state of hip hop.
Yeah. I don't think it's glorified though. I think it's for some of them it's more like realism.
Well, it's also
kinda see your
eerie.
tread.
Like whether,
is eerie.
Literally, whether it's Pac who died by gun violence, Big who died by gun violence, or Mac Miller who died by self-destruction,
yeah.
drugs. All that constant reference to death
Right.
for such young people is so eerie. And now there's such an eerie vibe about Pac and Biggie records. You listen to them and you're like, these young, talented men knew that they only had so much time. And you don't want to equate it to a self-destruction, but
do we speak these things into existence?
Manifestation.
Exactly.
yeah,
You speak your reality into existence.
I've never made one record about how I'm going to die.
I mean, if you think about those people that fucking OD making drug user music, like you ever heard a fucking sober,
Yeah, well, they're
like,
running
getting
their
clean
risk.
song?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
running
but
their risk. That's
risk,
different.
but
But
same-
real quick, since you're the dude that you are, we're talking about famous artists dying through acts of self-destruction, whether it was what they got into. Did they get into beef? Did they get into gun violence? Did they get into drugs? But being the dude you are, I got to ask, just how many of these mainstream artists that die very young, usually around that age of 27, do you think are some sort of Illuminati sacrifice of some sort?
How many?
Like-
Percentage?
How often? Because we're talking about Pac and Big as if it happened as authentically as they said it did.
Oh, the media churned
do you
that shit
think
up
that?
too.
I think those that handled them, those that managed them, those that invested in their careers are more responsible than they are. Some of them individuals probably didn't even know that that was coming. Coolio admitted that. Someone asked him that same question. He was like, I don't know. I started getting the strange emails and text messages. After I said so-and-so and so-and-so and thus and so. And he says, so when I pulled back on that, that's when I stopped getting those messages. So I started speaking up again about certain things. And then my son, I believe one of his relatives, ended up with, a charge. After that happened, I pulled back and I stopped getting those. So he said no one approached me directly. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's Coolio.
You get
Yeah.
the message.
So I'm like, but you see, bro, that's how they work. They're not going to approach you directly. No one's going to walk up and say, hi, I'm from the Illuminati and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
It doesn't
Subliminal.
work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You understand? If the Illuminati is a secret society, then why would they approach you in the open? Why would they send a letter in the mail or an email?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They control the people that control the people that control you.
Yes.
They don't need to send you a damn email.
Right.
They'll tweak some shit and you out of a deal.
Right.
You're not on tour no more. Your records are not being played. They can sign someone. Who was the dude used to ride the bicycle when he was rapping? Trinidad James.
Oh yeah.
In the project 1 week, next week famous on the cover of magazines and all. How did that shit happen? You understand what I'm saying? You see, but they can make it happen
You
because
got the control.
they got the infrastructure to do that.
Do you believe in a sense that idea of signing your life away and that comes with only having so much time to pop off influence the world and live?
No, I don't do. First of all, I don't
believe it like
I
that?
don't do the belief thing.
Okay,
Believe whatever it is
what
that
do you
you-
know?
I know that if you start to see 10, 15 rappers going the same route, and out of those 10 to 15 rappers, 12 of them have died basically kind of like the same way, and then you come to find out that the record company had life insurance policies on all of them,
Oh,
then
Jesus.
you tend to say, you know something, that ain't by accident. That's by design.
And can they do that because they're protecting their asset and investment?
Exactly.
That's
Oh my
exactly why they can do it,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So
I
that's,
didn't even
that's
So it
think
falls
about
under the radar.
exactly. So you don't look for a life insurance policy inside of your music contract, but it's embedded in there and it's there.
I never even thought about
It's your
that.
it's
Right.
their asset at that point.
And then some people get paid to be quiet about certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was also, I was looking into something I never thought about, and it may be too extreme for some people, but I know it's not too extreme for you to at least entertain or debate the idea that some people believe Michael Jackson was killed because of the transferring of publishing rights that would pass over once he was dead. Something to that effect.
Well, if you look at the list of things that he owned,
Right.
it is
that
utterly
people were
insane.
after that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know I didn't phrase it the right way, but that
Right.
people were after that. And so if he's gone, that
Then you
goes
get-
to
yeah,
whoever the next
get their
rightful
assets.
holder is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
But once you start controlling the foundation now, the Michael Jackson Foundation, or Don Cornelius passed away, all of the Soul Train shows that he's done since Chicago to present.
he owned the Beatles catalog.
Well, Michael Jackson.
Michael
Yeah.
Jackson did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about the list of things that these individuals, James Brown,
That's what I said.
I'm not gonna go through a list of them.
James Brown died with no money to his fucking name.
Exactly. So, but you talk about what Prince. Is it better to keep these people alive, or do you benefit from them being dead?
And here's the other thing about Prince. Prince shot off at the mouth a lot on fucking television.
Yeah. And didn't he wear also like he wore some big sign on his chest out walking about the street talking about like something about his
You
music
know
rights?
you know that Prince was very awake and aware, and he didn't hold his tongue on television. Right. So when he passed, that also I had some suspicions about that too, because I'm like, why is it always a very outspoken cat and someone who's specifically outspoken about the business, the government, or the Illuminati?
Now we already mentioned 6 people, so now is it still a conspiracy?
No.
No.
Dude, they're cutting off loose ends. It's like the mob. You have to cut off loose ends to protect your investments and your assets and whatever money you can get a hold of.
Yeah, I had a friend that worked in the music business and left the business because this is a guy that's much older than me. I think he has producing credits on Skilo's record. I think Skilo only had one record, right? So it was that first record that he had producing credits on. I'm not going to mention his name, but he left the music business around like 45 years old, and he told me it was because he saw this shit up close and personal. And I asked him, I said, so let me ask you this. This is what he told me. I asked him, I said, from your perspective, can you be a decent B-level famous artist, make your records, make your money, get in and get out and take care of your family with the proceeds and not have to deal with any of this shit? And he said, yes, but if you want to be on top of the world, you have the influence of the youth of the world, Drake, Nicki Minaj, these kinds of characters. Nah, you're involved on some level. That's what he told me. What do you think about
So
that?
either you pay the game that they want you to play, and be quiet about it. Knowing, understanding there's certain things that, and you're constantly being groomed now
Right.
by the person that they put to handle you. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Steer you in the right direction.
Constantly being groomed, not like you had a degree of knowledge coming into the music industry. The same Drake that we're looking at now is not the same one as before. Because there's certain things that if you listen to their interviews, there's certain things that they won't even say. They won't even go anywhere near it.
Hey, what point was Drake at in his career when you met him? When you were telling us the story when you met him, what was that before he
no,
popped?
this is kind of early on. When
You
he thought
remember
he was-
what year?
When he thought he was cute? Nah, because I don't really pay attention to them cats.
Yeah,
I see
me
them
either.
coming and going, and it's like, it's all right, cool. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I'm in the dressing room powdering his nose and shit, and it's just like, yo, you go, you speak, you give him some dap, and you let that be that. But because I don't see the attraction, man.
Yeah, I don't
couldn't-
either. I see the attraction for women. You know, he's pretty boy rapper. That's how I look at Drake.
Oh, hey, so like I was saying,
It's like, okay, Kev.
Oh, sorry, because he was cracking jokes on me earlier. I just meant it's an
Okay.
artist more so for women.
nah, I got you. I was only playing with
So
you.
they like the love songs.
I couldn't tell the difference. Maybe you could help me. Maybe I'm dating myself, but I couldn't tell the difference between him and Lil Wayne.
For a
Early?
period there,
Yeah.
they were neck and neck when we were like kids. Like that was the thing. It was Drake, Wayne,
Because
and
they were
Nicki.
together.
No, when y'all were kids. Shit, I was grown.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
that's
no.
what I. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you used to talking to your brothers. Like,
No, that's what I
He was
meant. I
looking
was
at me,
referencing.
no,
yeah.
I'm grown in the fucking
No.
room at this point. I'm like, yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. Then the auto tunes thing, and then the other thing, and then the,
Yeah, that's like 2011, 2012, 2013
How do you
type.
feel like artists like Drake having ghostwriters and stuff? Do you believe in like ghostwriting in hip hop?
yo, seriously.
Well, Easy Ice
Right.
Cube used to write all Easy E's music. You know,
I thought them dudes was writing that crap themselves because it ain't hard
Dude,
to fucking write.
Nah, but I don't think if you know, like, you probably do already, but there's like 13, 14 different writers on every song. It's insane.
Yo, seriously, I thought they was coming up with that whole body of work themselves. Shows you how much I
it's
know.
a shame, but people think it's more like new breed for people to like have ghostwriters and stuff, but they forget that like original like old school hip hop, like Ice Cube, NWA, like they wrote.
Well, that's one
Eazy-E's
example because
music.
they
There's
had
plenty of
Eazy-E
others
in the group and they just wanted him to be involved. It's another thing having Ice Cube write some bars for you rather than having like Drake, who's already at the top of his
Right.
game, have 30 people write a song for him. And that's what sucks about our generation because if you make music at like our
Wait,
age or
that's
you're
him talking,
inspired,
y'all.
if you make music at our age or if you're inspired at all to make music and you look up to people like that and you're like, oh shit. See, he had 30 writers on his fucking song. Like, I'm over here, like, dude, a lot. You can look
It's
up
ridiculous.
any
And you
popular
know,
Drake song. It's like 15,
it's funny.
12, 11, 30. It's insane.
It's funny. Just like you had just said, you said, I thought they wrote that shit themselves because it's garbage. I said the same thing. Drake has a song, I used to call you on my cell phone.
Well, I heard that one.
12 writing credits. And I thought the same thing. I thought it took a media machine, a room of 12 guys to come up with, I used to call you on my cell
That's
phone.
some simplistic shit.
Like, as
right there.
opposed to what? Was the first draft, I used to call you on my house phone, then 12 guys, well, let's make that cell
give
phone.
me your phone.
And it sucks to play that game, too. It's like, what's one of your favorite songs? Punch it in. 12 writing credits. Fuck. You're like, I thought it was that guy. But what it brings into question, or actually what it makes you realize is, let's take like Cardi B, okay?
I want to get into that too.
Yeah, girls that like Cardi B thinks this is who Cardi B is. Now, when you look up Cardi B's music, you see there's like a media machine making all this happen, and she's kind of like the puppet for it. So we don't really know who Cardi B is. It's almost like performers like that are like an artist puppet for a media machine that is scientifically generating and testing and probably using it in test groups to see what grabs the attention of the youth, what hooks grab them, or what will at least grab them for the duration of a fucking summer, and then what can the machine pump out next summer and the summer after that. We don't even really know who these artists are, but the public thinks,
He's asking the deep questions over here.
right,
man.
the public thinks they know, oh, that's Cardi B. She puts herself in this music. But isn't that how you look at it too? There's like a Public Enemy was you guys. That's who you guys were.
Right.
That's who Chuck was. These artists today, you don't know if it's just who they are is a manufactured media machine.
Right. Well, you kind of figure if you look at the women that, starting from Meg Thee Stallion back,
To Lil Kim.
right, Little Kim probably sparked it.
Yeah,
And
because
all
that's
of
where I
them-
think it all originated
That's the
from.
mold. And
Yeah.
all of them just kind of follow that. You understand what I'm saying? But the idea now, let's just be honest with one. The idea of having writers write songs is not new. That's really old. Motown did
Right.
it. All the record companies I know, Stax Records did it. Philly International.
Yeah.
There was writers that wrote songs and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a very old thing.
Every song, though?
No, not every song.
was
And there
gonna
weren't
say.
12, 13 writers on one song, no.
How do you feel about the female artists today compared to like, you know, the Lil Kim and all the other female artists that like started the game in the back of the day?
Yeah, because you said that no one can disrespect women in front of you. How do you feel about women that disrespect themselves in hip hop?
That's a very interesting question. I've said in a couple of interviews that if I'm there backstage somewhere or whatever, I feel I have a duty to look out for the women.
For sure.
But in some cases, I gotta kind of protect them from themselves.
Yeah. Sometimes that's a man's duty.
But how do you do that looking past her man or her husband or her boyfriend or her bodyguard or her, you understand what I'm saying? Or
Right.
significant other. Like how do you do that? me and my wife was having a conversation, and she was like, "Man, you know something? Cardi B had a semi breakdown online. She's basically, I don't want to do this no more. Started crying and the whole bit. I don't want to be a part of this thing because some of her people are dying. You understand? People that she know in the industry, she don't want to do this no more. And so me and my wife was talking. She was like, well, she probably needs somebody like you, an older woman that's been in the game, that left the game, that can talk to her and say, listen, this is how you survive that. And truly right now, and you may disagree with me, no, you probably will agree with me, that right now, if you're in her situation, a lot of these younger cats that are in the industry, it's about surviving this shit now.
Yeah.
Jeez, it sounds like a gang, dude.
Yeah, but when your woman was in hip hop, she wasn't in hip hop at the time where the theme of the era was female artists degrading themselves for profit and for image.
No,
it was a little classier. I mean, it was sexy.
Classier, there,
but
sexy.
That's what they was trying to mold her into.
It was sexy, but today it's pornographic.
So that's what they're trying to mold her into? It's
yeah,
what she kind of backed
left.
out a little bit.
She just said, no, I'm not doing this no more. And she had a 7-figure deal.
Oh, wow.
So
well, she stood on her morals.
Exactly. She says, you know something? Keep that. I'm going to keep this intact. I'm going to keep me intact.
Right. So isn't that full circle coming back to the way these artists are selling their soul?
Of course.
To the media machine. And this is I'm making the core difference. There were a lot of hip hop artists, female artists in hip hop earlier on in the day that were sexy and sold sex to a certain extent. Sex appeal. There was a little bit more class to it. Today, a Nicki Minaj video or a Cardi B video is as close to pornography as it can possibly get.
Well, would you agree that the music sells everything but the music?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. 100%.
Yeah.
It could sell drinks. It could sell clothes. It could sell sex. It could sell trips to Hawaii.
It's even selling fucking
Would you
prescriptions,
consider Cardi
dude.
B a hip hop artist? Because
hell no.
a lot of these
We ain't even got to finish that sentence.
a lot of
I'm
these
sorry.
like rappers today don't identify themselves as MCs, as hip hop
No,
artists.
what we saw the other night on the BET Awards, that's not hip hop. Hip hop is high infinite power healing our people. But that's not hip hop. I don't know what that is. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah,
brainwash.
Nah,
But and it's funny that you tend to reject the term rapper because rap is also initials for rhythm and poetry.
True, but under the umbrella of hip hop comes the four fundamental elements of hip hop. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So why is it now that when we think of this quote unquote genre of music, we only think of one element?
The rapper.
They just group it together.
Or would
The
you
rapper.
would you say the rapper or the MC?
So you mean to tell me the graph artist hasn't progressed? They haven't become the Basquiat's. They haven't become the famous artists of the world.
No. Yeah,
They've all progressed. I just think the only thing that got left behind completely was
I
scratching.
don't think they all progressed. You think MCing has progressed?
No, I think I meant to say production has progressed.
The production probably has not progressed either, because we're hearing the same trap beat, same tempo, same sounds from the 90s over and over again. It's just a different rapper saying the same thing. So that hasn't progressed at all. So we can name everybody's favorite group song that they're listening to now, and then we could determine whether or not this shit progressed.
It's not progressed because they all conform to the same shit to sell records.
To sell, not records, to sell other things.
To sell everything, yeah.
To sell everything else.
Yeah, on top of
Right,
else,
exactly.
It's a media marketing machine.
It's all manipulation. We were talking about this at the diner, dude. It's all manipulation down to everything.
Right. So then when you start looking at the amount of money and how many spins you have to have on Spotify and clicks in order to make money, it is ridiculous. 129 in order to get $1?
So you say nothing's progressed. So how do you feel about DJ Academic saying the pioneers of hip hop are dusty now?
Then again, nothing has progressed, just like we just said, because that thinking should have progressed. Yeah.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So here we got a cat calling himself DJ who's not a DJ. How's that progression?
It's true.
Shots fired.
But that's just so funny. Oh shit.
And then you're talking about legends, something that you know absolutely nothing
about.
You haven't wore these shoes yet, bruh. Or if you might never wear these shoes.
I don't even know. Is DJ Academics even anybody to hip hop?
Well, that is the question that I had asked when I first heard that. I'm like, who is he for us to be responding to?
I just see him on talk shows.
Yeah, he stirs the pot. That's
Just
about
stirring
it.
the pot on talk shows.
Clout.
Yeah.
And he does that well. But I don't know if he actually is anybody important in hip hop to have that
No,
DJ
he's just a
title.
cloud junkie.
So I think LL, kind of checked it. A few other artists checked it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
LL
glad,
jumped on that.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't get ugly.
What would happen if you ran into DJ Academics right now?
Oh, I would really like to pull him aside, not using that voice, but I'd pull him aside. Let me talk to you for a second, bro. He probably wouldn't want to talk to me. Because for some strange reason, when Professor Griff's name is mentioned in the room, everybody get fucking quiet. You understand what I'm saying? It's like...
They're quick
bro,
to do it online, but once it's in
Exactly.
front of your face, it's a whole different story.
And, like people say, I want them to keep that same energy. So, legends are dusty and this, that, and the other. Keep that same energy when I have a conversation with you face to face. But he probably wouldn't want to talk to me. I'm not coming hostile, violent, rah, rah, rah. I just want to talk to you. I want to, where is that coming from?
To have a dialogue.
Someone interviewed me and they asked me the same question you asked me. And I was like, well, do we think his grandma's dusty? You understand what I'm saying? We start talking about legends, people that have paved the way, paid your rent, fed you,
created your whole family,
made it so that you could even have a talk show and do what you do. You understand? And then now, but because we've done that and we're not making the kind of money that these young cats are making, you call us dusty? Nah, man, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I don't care what y'all think of your mom and dad. They could never be dusty, bro.
I agree.
Right or wrong, I don't care.
I agree.
I just don't get still your mom and dad. You wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for your mom and dad. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My mom, with raising 13 of us, made sacrifices that all of us in this room probably couldn't even fathom the idea of what my mom had to go through working 3 jobs, raising 13 children.
Mm-hmm.
My mom could never be dusty. And them are motherfucking fighting words for real.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to bring the temperature down. DJ Academic.
Yeah, R.A. the Rugged Man said when he was asked about relevant rappers and how they disrespect the legends of hip-hop, he had the response, the guys that started hip-hop, the legends that created hip-hop, studied the craft of music. So today, if you're getting into hip-hop, you're studying the hip-hop that already exists. But when hip-hop was created, the people that started hip-hop, they liked Barry White. They liked soul records. And then they started incorporating that into what hip-hop became. But there was still a desire to study, learn, and know music. That no longer exists. And BOA was saying the other day, he said, I never understood this notion of young cats saying, these old guys got to get out of the way. Like, their time is up. They need to get out of the way for us. Like, how about you fucking pave a way for yourself? Nobody needs to get out of the way for you.
How are the old guys in the way? Like, what are we doing that we're in the way?
This generation's lost, and they just want to cut corners, and they have the internet age is the age of no respect. And instead of using people that are older than you or have been places where you want to go as a source of wisdom, they try to push it off as like, oh, they just want to critique everything I say. They can't take criticism, and they don't want to learn from other people.
They're kind of sensitive. Yeah, and my thing is, we should critique you wanting to kill somebody.
Yeah.
You want to,
Yeah.
you want to bring in bricks, and you want to turn some little baby into a stripper or a whore. You understand? Yeah, we should have something to say.
Yeah.
I do have something to say, yeah.
Aside from the artists, the current day artists that aren't disrespecting the older heads of the game, what are some of the newer breed artists that like you take your hats off to that you do respect? Is there any like any artists, like how do you feel about J. Cole, Kendrick?
Those are the poster boys now, because we had poster boys when we were coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But
outside of probably the main 3, I'm hard pressed. But you've heard of Coast Contra?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I knew Richie
Off
did.
The meat rack.
Yeah, Richie really knows hip-hop.
Coast Contra is probably that group I probably listen to every other day.
Is that underground?
It's like a group of guys. They're rapping at the table. You probably saw the clips.
Oh, I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Coast Contra. Yeah.
I had a feeling whatever you were going to say was not what's mainstream right now. Or mainstream.
Yeah, well, we're not
record
mainstream
label
cats either, but
mainstream. No, but that is the traditional answer to give. Where does hip hop live the way it should live right now? Usually not produced by the biggest record label on every station, on every radio station.
Absolutely not.
I'd rather go to YouTube and find that unknown artist and listen to them.
Yeah. So
You understand what I'm saying?
So Lord Jamar went viral a couple years back for that statement that white rap artists should think of themselves as guests in the home of hip hop,
right?
Which I think most of us agree with. Now, right now, you're surrounded by white rappers, every one of us,
right?
I want you to educate us and distinguish for us the idea of being a culture vulture versus just being a white cat that took interest in hip hop, respects hip hop, and came to be good at rhyming, poetry, rap is rhythm and poetry, so meshed together, had developed a skill and respects hip hop. And I think to simplify it, actually, I'd like to make it simple for you. Can you name a white rapper that you respect that you can honestly say is like he meshes with the culture, he doesn't go against or take from the culture?
Let me put it to you this way. Let me put it as simple as I can put it. What's everyone's nationality? Italian?
Italian, Puerto Rican. What's your?
Italian.
So let's
you're
just,
fully
let's just say Italian and Puerto Rican meshed. Okay.
That's what it always said.
Can I come into the Italian house and
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
and take cultural traditional things and pervert it? I'd get my ass kicked.
And perverted.
They whack you.
Thank you. Plain and simple. So keep that in mind. So if we built a house called hip hop and we invited everyone else in, there's still rules to the house. I can't come to your house right now and do what the hell I want to do.
Right.
Especially you can't come to mine. When I was growing up, you came to my mama house, man. You sat your ass in the living room. You took off your shoes at the door, and you respect the rules of the house. You ain't pulling on vapes. Your ass ain't. You understand? You're not talking loud on the cell phone. You're not doing none of that. You sit down in the living room. We might ask you if you want something to drink. You thirsty? But you don't go walking around in people's bedrooms and shit, looking under the mattress.
Opening the fridge.
Thank you. You don't do that. Am I right or wrong? It's just a level of respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, your culture may be different from mine. You understand what I'm saying? He said a few minutes ago, I'd get whacked. You come in my house with that bullshit, you might get buried in the backyard. Because we just didn't play that. There's rules.
Right.
So it is with hip hop. We built the house of hip hop and we invited everyone in. But the people that we invited in, we made a mistake and fell asleep. And when we woke up, they owned every goddamn thing. You understand what I'm saying? They labeled everything. There's places in our own house we couldn't even go.
Damn.
There's places we couldn't talk on the damn phone. Certain shit we can't say, we can't do. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, and they were the ones that controlled the house of hip hop. Now, how fair is that?
Can you cite artist names to make it more clear for me? I'm following you so far, but like, who are the white rappers?
Phenomenal
do you think?
answer.
Yeah, it is a fantastic answer. That's the best way I've heard it explained. But can you cite rappers so I understand like where you think it goes south in terms of
every white artist run the risk of coming off as though they're taking advantage of this idea of being a culture vulture and this white privilege. It's almost like you got to get your cultural hood pass stamped.
So who does it the right way?
What about Eminem? He grew up in the hood of Detroit.
Does he do it the right way?
But just because you're born in a certain hood, that doesn't give you permission to still roam through the house. Someone still had to bring you into the house. You understand what I'm saying? There's only certain white people that I know that I could go to their house without them being home, and their wives or their mom or auntie or their uncle would say, "Oh yeah, just have a seat. They'll be here in a minute." You understand what I'm saying? And then me not disrupt anything.
Because you have the rapport of respect. You know the deal.
Exactly. So that has to happen in hip hop, and a lot of times it just doesn't. The early Eminem days was calling black women bitches and hoes and all kind of shit. Now he really should have got his white ass whipped, but we spared him. You said whack him.
He was calling
That's
black
just
women
Italian
hoes.
wax Italian.
You're
term.
not got it. Right?
Eminem was calling black women hoes on the early records.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So my thing is, what rapper do you know that came in the industry and was respectful?
You feel he got the pass from Dre because he was under
No,
Dre?
I think
like
he
that's
got
boy.
the pass. Period. Just the idea of being from the D. If you know anything about Detroit, you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
5 Ella and the rest of
Yeah,
the
but
cats.
also when you have a legend over you like Dre, don't you think that makes it feel like you got your hood pass?
Yeah, if you in that camp, man, 50, Dre, some other people, yeah, of course, man. But he got a pass early on, bro, for real.
But so what?
So hold on, let's get
Okay,
back
go
to the
ahead,
white
go ahead.
rapper. Which one are you gonna name that came in with a level of respecting the culture?
I would say R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about him or his work, but
if you heard him, I think you might agree. Now, and let me list off the reasons why. This I believe it. I don't want to say he's Italian. I think he's German actually. German white rapper from the old school era, came up the same time as Big Pac and all them.
Right.
Was co-signed by Biggie. He was there, but he disrespected too many record labels to be mainstream back in the day. He built up a following in the underground in the years since. Every single song, nearly all the elements of hip hop are there. The scratching, the sampling, and always, damn near on every song, paying homage to the greats.
Yeah.
So I would think that would be the right way to do it as a white MC.
But so don't get me wrong, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand. I don't go out searching for white rappers.
No, I know. I was
If I happen to be
Fuck.
but can I put it to you like this real quick? Like he had a lyric where he said in one of his songs, "I don't want fans that don't know who Kumo D is, or I don't want fans who don't like." So, but just theoretically, even just hearing what I said, even if you haven't heard his music, wouldn't you think that would be the proper, respectful way for a white guy to come into hip hop?
But it's not enough to do the one thing. Fine, you took your shoes off at the door, but it's everything else. Do you understand? It's almost like I got to be the best person I could be in society because I'm doing it for my race. Fuck. White people don't do that.
I got a curveball.
Throw it at me.
What about Logic? He actually just left Def Jam. Somebody who appears to be white,
Curveball.
but his father's black. And I mean, I think he touched on some good elements of hip hop. And
Chuck was on one of his records.
Yep.
With Black Thought actually.
Yep.
What was that on? Everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody.
Black Thought and Chuck D.
Yep.
Well, my thing is we can get validation, and we don't need to
Right.
dive into everyone's genetical makeup.
Yep.
I think it's more so respecting the culture.
He gets a lot of controvery though.
Now that
for
you all gave
being
your one white artist, let me just say, like, Mac Miller was a student of the game, and he really like ingested the Big L's, the 50s, and like everybody older, and like Nas and stuff like that. So like him as an artist, he was well respected because he was a student of the culture that he was stepping into.
Right. There's a white artist now. I don't know his name, but dude is off the meat rack, man.
Jack Harlow.
I
was just taking a guess.
No, he is really.
Oh, it is? You like Jack
Oh
Harlow?
yeah, no, but
No.
this other guy I'm talking about.
Okay,
is,
that's what I
I'm
thought.
trying to
Right,
remember
right,
his
right,
name.
right.
He's,
I wouldn't think it'd be Jack Harlow.
Can't think of any
he's
other
very
white rapper.
political, man. Very controversial. He just.
Oh, not Tom
he
McDonald.
That's him.
Yeah?
Bang.
That motherfucker's off the chain, man.
Word.
Oh yeah, he drops it.
Everybody gave their artist. I'd say Vinny Paz from Jedi Mind Tricks came in pretty
Okay.
respectful.
Well, and again, he is a R.A. the Rugged Man type of artist. Like
Yeah.
those cats are like neck and neck. Like, and they do songs together.
Yeah.
And Tom McDonald don't give a fuck. He's like, yo, he be calling him out, man.
But where's the aspect in his music that you can clearly see he respects the culture?
I think the fact that he knows he's white and knows the position he's in.
Yeah, that's something I always try
and
to
he
do.
knows he's operating in someone else's culture.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a taboo kind of thing. Just certain things you know you're not supposed to say and do. You understand what I'm saying? And you might want to test the water, but yeah, you need to be very mindful of that. Like, for example, growing up and visiting certain hoods, and I think y'all can relate to this. There's always that one white dude that gets the pass. I don't know who he is here, but that motherfucker always, he hangs around
It's Richie
black
B.
people.
That's me.
And he always gets the fucking pass.
Yeah.
Regardless of what he say, what he do
Right.
is just a cool white dude. You understand? That always gets the pass. But now, that white dude can get the pass in this hood, but you can't get it in mine.
yeah.
We don't know you.
You can
bro.
only get it in your circle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You did not just gain access
Exactly.
to a different culture.
And I think Joyner Lucas did a song which spoke to that.
Right.
And a few other people did some songs that kind of spoke to that thing. And I think Tom McMillan, McDonald knows that these are my parameters, man. I'm going to stay within inside of this if I'm going to be in this rap game because I understand the history, the culture, and I understand the origins of it. And I'm respect the architect.
Let me bring up
Yeah,
one point.
go
Want to
ahead.
hear so we just talked about like kind of the good topics. Y'all know the worst example of like the white rapper that kind of like gives everyone the bad look.
I want to see if you're going to say who I'm thinking.
I'm saying exactly.
Is it a
what you're
female
thinking.
artist?
No.
Okay, I got the
Yeah,
female.
'cause
one.
there's a
No,
slew
but
of
this
them.
is one you're not
Go ahead,
thinking
go
of.
ahead, go ahead.
Do you know who Tom Hanks is?
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Do you know who Tom Hanks is?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know his son?
No, but I heard his son
Okay.
rap or something.
So his
That's a
son. So
disaster.
listen. So his son raps. White privilege is all fuck. His family's loaded, and he loves saying the N word on his songs.
What?
All the
No
time.
way.
It is fucked up.
Yeah, and I know
It is
Tom
Dude,
disowned
Hanks.
him.
Tom Hanks is like, I'm done. So Tom Hanks' son, the actor, his son raps, really thinks he's serious, loaded, white privilege as fuck, says the N-word on every song, and he's like, "Well, I can say it,"
and nobody stopped him. See, that's the extreme end of this.
Isn't that
podcast.
fucked
I was
up?
gonna say Iggy.
No,
How does he get it? How is he not canceled?
No, I was gonna say Iggy because Iggy is an Australian white girl who has an Australian accent. She sounds like fucking Sterling Cooper, like a female Sterling Cooper. And when she's on records, she is doing an imitation of a female black voice. I would think
That
that's
is
the
true.
extreme end of the spectrum.
That is true.
Right? You familiar with Iggy?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I would think so. Here, let me in wrapping this portion of the episode up here. Let me explain it to you like this. This is I went to school for broadcasting. You can clearly hear that I have a perfect
And he's
white,
using his voice,
yes,
broadcasting voice now.
I have a perfect white male radio voice. On the radio in Connecticut and New York for a couple of years, I was the voice of a few different schools, and I was the guy that was like, "Is your credit fucked? Are you struggling at home?" When I rap on albums, because I can rap my ass off, but I know I don't have the voice for it, I still rap in this voice. So that's one of my ways of respecting the culture, because we hit the ciphers. And when we've hit the ciphers, there is a slew of white rappers who are overcompensating for being white by trying to either imitate what you would think is a stereotypical black
Young
voice.
brother's getting restless over here, but okay.
No, I just gotta piss again. I just gotta piss.
Okay. Or just try to
bathroom was
imitate
locked.
something that they're not. So I think in not trying to copy a culture, the best thing you could do is if you learned a certain craft that stemmed from black culture, you still remain yourself. You don't try to imitate that culture. You don't try to talk like someone of another culture talks. You don't try to pretend you've been through what they've
100%.
been through. And if you keep all that in check, is that your first day as a white rapper preparedness package in terms of respecting the culture, you think?
No, I think.
Yeah,
to a degree, that's part of it. But the idea of just being the authentic you,
Genuine, dude. People are so
So that's
fake.
what it is.
Just be you. If you sound like the typical white dude that could be on the radio doing voiceovers and shit, then when you step in the booth, don't try to sound like DMX. Shit,
yeah.
that's not you.
That's what I was just explaining. And
Right.
and honestly, if you haven't put two and two together of why I'm harping on this subject so much, it's because it gets talked about so often that white rappers are a guest in the house of hip hop. So since I am here with a hip hop legend, I'm trying to get your permission personally to rap as a white guy. Because that's it. I'm here with a hip hop
He's gonna pull out
legend.
the sword and he's gonna knight you.
Yeah, I want to be knighted.
well, we got it's a little bit more. than this.
There's some paperwork.
It's some motherfucking
There's some-
digital.
there's some forms.
It's some mental paperwork we gotta do. First, we gotta go over subject matter. It's almost like in a funny kind of way. It's almost like you ever see the Chinese dude that's using the restroom, the public restroom, and then the big buff Italian dude comes in there and he's like just looking at and the Chinese dude is like looking at his joint, and then the brother walks in.
I've seen that. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that.
It's like that. It's like, come on, bro. You understand what I'm saying? Be your authentic self. Why can't the average white rapper come along and talk about average white shit?
Facts.
I talk about average white shit all the time.
Talk about hockey.
He talks about getting his suit tailored and stuff. And
I've never even gotten a suit tailored.
Why do the white rapper gotta come talk about black issues? And we don't need that from white rappers.
Yeah,
we just don't.
Speaking of which, that makes me want to ask you, what do you think about a lot of these white social justice warriors trying to champion black issues? Because on the surface, people try to come across like they mean to do the right thing, but at the same time, it could be used as clout to say, look at me, I'm a good person, I'm not racist.
It's like the people that go to the beach and clean up all the trash, and instead of just doing it for a good deed, they take a picture of it for Instagram.
I just sense bullshit with a lot of it.
Because they don't know. They don't know what it's
But
like.
you don't think at the end of the day they're speaking from being, the human justice issue as opposed, and
That's
they're doing
true.
it through a black lens.
That's true.
The black protest thing that's going on is happening, and then that individual comes along and says, something, this is a human thing, but since this black thing is going on, let me be a part of that to speak to some of the other issues because they're white. And we need white people to do that. If we're gonna dismantle racism, white supremacy, white people need to speak
Gotta
up and not be afraid.
Get into it.
I just want them to do it because
And we don't need any more white rappers doing that.
Some do it right. some don't do it right.
I think people should do it because it's right, not because they've made it a trend.
Are you calling them opportunistic kind of?
I think
Yeah.
some. You don't think some can be?
Yes.
Yeah, that it can be disingenuous,
Disingenuous,
to a certain level.
right.
And honestly, there's a certain comfortability that white people have with jumping all over black issues in media right now that makes me a tiny bit uncomfortable. Like, we're having a dialogue right now, but I'm not exactly comfortable being the white guy or the white presenter of my own show. That a black issue comes up and it's like, oh yeah, I can definitely I can speak to that with what experience. I can respect it and I can learn, but to jump all over it like I'm an expert myself, I wouldn't do personally.
So then you would take issue with the Joe Rogan kind of character.
At times.
Does he go overboard?
At times.
Okay.
At times.
When I had to take to this microphone and in the presence of white people in the room, and I started calling people crackers and honkies and all this kind of derogatory shit when it comes to white people, then I crossed the line because I still in someone else's house have to be respectful. So even if he have black people in the room, even though he's in his own house, to use that kind of language, if the black people in the room didn't check him, I think that's a problem. And I think
We talking about when Joe Rogan got canceled?
right. And I think white people need to check other white people. Don't leave it up to me to check them because it really don't happen in my presence. And the shit that happened with Joe Rogan and other people normally wouldn't happen in my presence because I bring a certain energy in the room.
I got a story for that.
They were saying he's out of context, and then there's a lot of because he's one of the UFC commentators, and there was a lot of the UFC the UFC fighters like John Jones and a Preflov. I know Daniel Cormier, and we're backing him up. Them being black UFC fighters and stuff. So
And you don't think that's part of the problem when someone
Enabling
disrespects black people? Then you get handkerchief head, bootlicking Uncle Tom ass coons to come along and support that bullshit.
Yeah.
Come on, man, nah.
How do you feel about Kanye West wearing the White Lives Matter
Oh, don't
shirt?
get him started.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh man,
Don't get him
I
started.
don't think y'all got time
and,
for
Ka-
me
and
to
Kanye's in your book too. He's under the K
Yeah,
section.
I mean-
is he under K or W?
C for coon. No, I'm only playing that. See, that's one of the things with black people that we have to learn. We shouldn't disrespect other black people in the house of white people. Fuck Kanye West. But I'm saying, for this Negro, let's bring the temperature down.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Kanye
For
West.
this gentleman.
I don't know whether or not the mental illness thing kicked in at this moment, but it seemed like you're purposely, you ran out of things to do. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you probably got $1 billion. You got deals, clothing deals, and all kind of stuff. They say you're a genius. I don't know about that. I want to hear some more music, whatever. But for you to pull a stunt like that, it's like, what is the end game? Remember we were talking earlier? So let's work from this point backwards. White lives matter. So I don't know. Let's dismantle that bullshit.
Yeah, I don't even
So
get
if
what
white
the end
lives
game is.
matter, we can all agree in this room that white lives have always fucking mattered. Regardless how bad your parents were, y'all are still alive in this room, putting together some things in order to move forward. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
You're right.
correct.
Okay, so it's not the case with black people.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So white lives have always mattered in every area of people activity. Entertainment, education, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, health, and a few other categories I could mention. It's absolutely fine. You guys are thriving. You understand what I'm saying? So it's no question, especially with history, is no question that white lives matter.
There's no purpose to that message. White lives
Exactly.
matter,
So
yeah.
what is the reason? So either dude is sick or you just got some evil shit going on or something that you want to get off your chest. Because if you look at it, him and Candace Owens both were married to white people.
If you want to know why Candace is the way she is, it's because she's from here. She's from like
She's
30.
from here?
She's from 30 minutes that way.
Oh, no fucking wonder. I'm in fucking Sheldon, Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen. And if this is not the white nominals, I saw some black people.
No, but to that point real quick, like, so when the BLM movements first started happening and you had all those like white women being like, well, all lives matter. And that took away from the point. Like, no, that's not the point. The point is there's a purpose with this movement. You don't want to just associate it to a bunch of other shit that doesn't need a voice. And then that's why that comedian came up with that point where he was like, say you're talking to your wife, right? And she's like, sweetie, do you love me? And you're like, of course I love you. I love everybody. That doesn't that doesn't prioritize the purpose of that point. So when
Right.
there's a Black
Right.
Lives
Well-
Matter movement, it's because there's shit that has to get done.
On the topic of Kanye West, I mean, like, who did he have a child with? It was Kim, right? Kim
Was it only Kim?
I mean, maybe he's got a couple other childs, but there's children.
Kim,
but
yeah.
it's Kim Kardashian. Now that is a white,
Is she white
That
or is
is
she
a-
like Armenian?
whatever.
She's whatever.
They're
White.
white.
She's
They're
not-
white.
she's
They're
not
white.
black, yeah.
No, they're white. They're a white, financially set family, and he was surrounded by that, had a kid with them and stuff. So, I mean, I think that could be part of the reason. I'm not defending it, but I'm saying that could be part of the reason why, or he's just doing it for clout. So,
It was
So,
for
but where,
clout.
where is that coming from? The idea that white lives, who needs to say that? That
No
white
one.
lives matter.
No one does.
Whoever said that white lives don't matter.
Yeah.
Whoever acted like white lives don't matter. White lives have always mattered because white people controlled and ran every goddamn thing. It was everyone else's life that had to get
That was
validated
affected.
by white people.
Right.
And he's seeking validation via the mixed kids, the white ex-wife, the people he's doing business with, the homosexual people he says are so great, the white ones. This is him, not me. So he has to get validation now, and the only way he can get validation is doing things like that. He needs to validate himself.
But let me tell you why I understand that the White Lives Matter shit is bullshit, because I actually have lived experience that taught me that white lives always mattered, and that this argument that when black people are unlawfully killed by the police, it's because they were resisting. I had this debate with somebody in the family, and I told them my lived experience showed me that that's not the case. Not an opinion that I got from watching TV or watching conservative
Right.
news or watching liberal news. It was my life experience. So I'll just tell you real quickly the reason why I know that's bullshit, and the reason I learned from my life experience that white lives always mattered, black lives did not to the police, is because when we were kids, we were some badass kids. We made a
Like
lot.
bad?
We made a lot
Like
of
Tay Tay, Man Man, and Twan in the hood, bad.
nothing. Okay, I don't know. It was fucking bad. All right. I just cite two stories. We got chased by the cops
Don't
all the
incriminate
time.
us now.
No, we got chased by the cops. It's all years ago. We got chased.
The case is closed.
Yes.
Okay.
We got chased by the cops all the time as kids. Okay. They had a file in the police station. We know because a few of us in our crew got
We used it
arrested
as
and
a
they
sample.
saw the file that said like we there was the name of our neighborhood.
in Pine Rock.
They had the name of our neighborhood up there. Okay. So the police used to come through, chase us. On one occasion, there were 15 fucking cop cars lined up on the street just for us because there was a house party. A dude from another neighborhood came through, pulled a gun, he dipped. The police kicked in the door at the house party, brought us all out of the house, and all of us are some badass young kids talking shit, fuck the police. Everybody got let go. Nobody got arrested.
Nobody got shot.
Nobody got shot. And now here's the thing about this argument that black
Did
people.
y'all hear that shit?
Yeah.
Nobody got shot.
Yeah,
But
now,
anyway,
now,
go
now,
ahead.
and now it doesn't resonate with you until you get a little bit older. That had we been a bunch of black kids, would everybody have been free to go? It doesn't resonate. So you think back. Now here's the other example I was going to give. Conservatives, hard right conservatives, love to give this argument that these police shootings would never happen if a black suspect didn't resist. But we have that crazy white boy friend with his crazy white boy antics. We watched him get arrested in front of our house because some shit popped off. This is years ago. For some reason, I don't know why, the officer tried to cuff him up here like this. And I don't know why, but he's got that crazy white boy energy. And he started pulling his hands apart, all crazy. And the cop didn't even so much as check him in the back of the head.
Pushed his knees down, nothing. He just left him.
That's resisting arrest. It didn't get physical.
At all.
So that's from my lived experience. The television didn't have to tell me that. So I just want people to understand that I don't say those things to pander to any audience. That was my life experience.
And so you view that as someone who grows up seeing shit like that and like seeing the news and seeing all the other shit, and you start to learn the patterns and you see this shit and you're like, wow, it's a lot different from a different shoe.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy to think if that had been, because we have a lot of black friends too, if that had been one of our black friends doing that same shit our white friend did, would he have gotten beaten up? Would he have been in jail? Or would he have been would he have been killed? Like, we don't. But all I know is what I saw in a terrible attempted white arrest. Kids freaking out. I just wanted to explain that it's something that I saw for myself. So that's where my perspective comes from.
All right, this is Professor Griff, and we're here in Connecticut, and we're listening to.
Hey, we're gonna wrap it up after a couple more questions. We talk about masculinity a lot on the podcast. Let me get your perspective on this. Are men still men today? Do they still stand for the same values they used to? A lot of older men say that they don't.
Older men are.
Right.
My friends are still men and do the things that we were taught by our parents to do for ourselves, for our wives, girlfriends, family, and for the community, and even dealing with other people. We do. This generation coming up, not behind us, but the ones behind them, absolutely do not know anything about being men, simply because they weren't in an environment to be taught. You got to remember, there was plots, plans, schemes created by the United States government to take black fathers out of the home. So those fathers never had a chance to talk to those sons. Those sons grew up without those fathers, not going through a rites of passage program to know what being a man was or is. They don't know what a man looked like. How should a man conduct himself? They don't know these things. When I was growing up, my mom used to put hot sauce in the toilet so I could learn how to piss straight. So you aim for the hot sauce. You understand what I'm saying? That was the lesson. They don't get that nowadays. They fucking pissing on the toilet seat and shit, not wiping it up, all kind of dumb shit.
I still piss on the toilet.
Oh, you stupid.
I think I need to use some hot sauce.
So I'm saying to you, it's just that small example. They weren't taught.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, and I think those individuals that did stay in the home, black men, were emasculated. And I think those other ones had 2 and 3 jobs to support the family. And then the whole idea of welfare, child support, all this kind of stuff, the pressures of living in white society, having to live up to a certain thing, just kind of too much for black men to bear. And the family structure was broken down by the government on purpose, by design, and we never got a chance to teach the children how to be men. And the same goes for women.
Yeah, so you agree
And
then
girls.
you agree then that men need to be led by a father figure of some sort. So then I don't necessarily think it's disrespectful to women or single mothers personally when we cite the statistic that men that grow up without a father in the home are misguided, not because the mother ain't shit per se, but just because a man needs to be shown what masculinity is. And I've noticed for men in general, no matter what color you are, you look to the wrong things to get an idea of what masculinity is when your father or uncle figure or somebody didn't show you what it is. Would you agree
Well, my
with
thing
that?
is, I would agree, but I would like to add on to that and
Sure.
say this, that my mom had 13 children. My dad passed away when I was 6. So there was no father figure in the home.
There was no one you looked to? Not an uncle?
See, but I didn't say that. But there was no father figure in the home because that's the thing that said my father wasn't there.
Right.
Now, that tends to resonate with, to register with white people that he was in jail. No, my dad passed on. He passed away. So then my uncle had to step up.
Right.
A couple of my uncles had to step up. The basketball player, the boxing coach, the karate dude, the pimp on the street that punched me in the chest and told me, look, get your ass up off the block, the drug dealer. You understand what I'm saying? These were aspects of what men are. Some of them were what we wasn't supposed to be, but nonetheless, the balance for me in my life was there because my dad passed on when I was 6 years old. It never stopped me from becoming a man, though.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying that these other men stepped up in my life, and I ultimately were molded and shaped, and I saw what a real man looked like. And but because I've got a double dose of what it means to be a real man, I got it from listening to Malcolm X, looking at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, and all these people were on Black Panther Party, was on my Che Guevara. They were on my wall. So I was like, wow, that must be a real man. You understand what I'm saying? My uncle gave me the poster, yada, 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 taught me about this one, that one, and the other one. So I had examples in my life on what real men look like. And those are the ones that helped me shape who I wanted to be as a man. My dad passed away when I was 6 years old, so I have some memories of my dad, but I don't know my dad like most people would know growing up with their dad.
So, but then it's also safe to say that today men don't have the same strong male influences, wouldn't you say?
The ones that
certainly like you're talking about looking up to Malcolm, and you're talking about figures that you looked up to get an idea of what it means to be a man.
Right.
Do you think we lack those figures today?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it almost seems like telling the truth is a revolutionary act, and you run the risk. This new thing they got, canceling people.
I was gonna say,
you run the risk of getting canceled. You understand what I'm saying? If you tell the truth. It's almost dangerous now. And then a lot of people are positioning themselves as men. And they're not men. When you can come before the world and say, I can identify, you saw the YouTube or the YouTube clip that went out, somebody stopping a young black man from filming. Mm-hmm. And they said, you can't film here. It says, oh, don't worry about it. My cameraman identifies as a camera, so it's cool. Mm-hmm. So you can identify.
Jeez.
You can identify.
I've seen stuff like that.
So you can identify whoever you and whatever you want to be, and I guess it's a go. You understand what I'm saying? And no, it's not a go. It's just not a go. So where are those men now? So I think the last bastion of men that came through, and that was real men for your generation.
Yeah.
The DMXs, the Tupacs, them cats. You understand? That's it. You're not getting anything. You understand what I'm saying? All the other ones have went to the left. Most don't go to the right. Most don't say, listen, I'm a man and this is what men do. This is how men think. You understand what I'm saying? This is how men treat women. You rarely find that.
Where do you see hip hop 20 years from now?
I'm 62, so by the time I'm 82, hip hop, if I was to take into account that technology is moving a lot faster than I ever imagined that it would, the way we listen to hip hop may be totally different, man. We went from the analog frequency and vibration of 432 hertz to the 440, and then now we're in a digital realm where we're listening to some of the old school songs that was made with 2-inch tapes. Now we listen it through a digital medium called the fucking cell phone, and this is not good because we're not hearing the full range of the sound.
I was saying there's nothing like getting like your favorite album in a CD form, like you know what I'm saying,
On a
rather
record,
than like
dude,
having
or
it on your
cassette.
phone, just having it in your hand, a hand copy.
Right, but you see, now that's your generation. My generation would say is nothing like having the album, the black melanated wax.
Yup.
You understand what I'm saying? So how are we going to interact with hip hop and listen to it may be a factor. So we're dealing with technology. How it's made is going to be a factor in how we interact and listen to hip hop. Those that are coming up will have to redefine hip hop in order for hip hop to even exist 20 years from now. So how are they redefining it now? There's so many subgenres of hip hop. It is ridiculous. Beyonce and Little Kim and the rest of them ushered in this strip hop. So now you damn near got to do soft porn and be a fucking stripper and a prostitute in order to do songs now.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at earlier.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to look very different when I turn 82, looking back on what I think hip hop should be. Someone's going to come along and either have to hold true to what the founding fathers established or redefine it.
Dude, music used to be an experience, and now music is listened to in this generation passively. There's without substance, there's nothing to soak into and have the experience of, okay, I got the record. Now I got my record player. I'm going to put it down and listen to it and then take in this product while I can, because you can listen to it on the go. You can listen to it while you're doing shit. and it's not, and without substance in it, it's all passive listening. So
Yeah,
it's just
and
gonna keep trending that way.
When I was talking to Positive K, he made a great point. He said things move so quickly today. Records aren't made with the intention of it standing the test of time. He says, so if you think about it, he said, Kev, tell me who was the hottest guy 5 years ago. And I'm like, I can't even think of it. He goes, you can't even follow the timeline anymore. He goes, I couldn't tell you who the hottest guy was 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Because the shelf life now is probably, maybe 3 weeks? And then they're
A summer.
How long did WAP stay out?
A summer.
Not even like a month and a half, 2 months.
About a month and a half, 2 months. That's it.
Oh, God.
And people, then they don't even remember it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure you appreciated that record.
Professor Griff, I got one last question for you. Are you familiar with the Verses?
Yeah.
So Public Enemy, what group is going toe-to-toe with you guys in the Verses?
Public Enemy, I'd either say Wu-Tang, the Roots, Wu-Tang, Roots, a Public Enemy versus Wu-Tang, Roots, or I'm trying to think of group.
Yeah.
How about NWA?
No, I think I probably think, I don't know, Brand Nubian,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Public Enemy, Brand Nubian versus. Yeah.
And what's
I
the
can see
outcome
that.
of all those? What's the outcome of all those?
I think it'll be a lot of respect in the house, like.
A lot of respect in the house.
For sure.
Yeah,
There could be a lot of respect in the house.
No, it will because I think Wu-Tang Clan was needed at the time. Wu-Tang Clan, we needed to see people come together as a group because record companies was breaking people up and putting the effort into the solo artists so much so because it's easier to control one.
Yeah.
But when Wu-Tang Clan came unpolished, I was like, good. Them motherfuckers drinking, smoking, pushing each other on stage, not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And just doing the damn thing. I said, that's what we needed at that particular time. You understand what I'm saying? We needed Onyx the time Onyx came out. We needed MOP. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I think every now and then a group like Wu-Tang needs to come out to kind of reset this shit, man.
What would you say is the modern day Wu-Tang?
I don't think there is one.
No. Coast Contra.
Yeah.
I think Coast Contra, man.
Would it be wrong to say that NWA was like the West Coast Public Enemy? I just can't think of another group that was that similar.
No, because then you
in their approach, it was hectic, it was chaotic, it was fuck the
Boots,
system.
Boots Riley did something with the Mau Mau Rhythm Collective, and Paris did something on Cam. You can't knock them out the box like that. If I was to kind of take them West Coast conscious rappers and put them all in one group, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't knock them out the box like that because it's almost like we treat them as though they never happened. And Cam and Paris, Boots, and a lot of them cats that was on the West Coast that was positive did balance that thing out on the West Coast. So we can't say, because when we think of West Coast rap, we automatically go to NWA when there's a lot more happening.
No, I don't automatically go to them because they're not my favorite from the West Coast, but they're the closest I can think of as something that's comparable to Public Enemy on the West Coast.
You could say NWA then, yeah.
Yeah, I would think
On
so.
purpose,
We're not going to run for too much longer. I just got to ask you real quick, Griff. Why is there this idea that NWA can have a hit movie made on their story, but Chuck D says there will never be a Public Enemy movie? I would kill to see that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that was actually on the table a couple of years ago.
What
And,
happened with it?
Yo, I'm be honest with you, man. That blank check was on the table and shit. I tried to navigate it, but I don't really think Chuck wants to do it, man. I mean, it's necessary. It's vital. It's vitally necessary. And I think if all of us came to the table, I would definitely sign off on it because.
Is it in fear that Hollywood would depict y'all wrong, in the wrong light?
Well, that is probably one of the main things.
Yeah,
How would you
figured.
tell some of those stories?
Who's gonna play Professor Griff?
I actually was talking to someone that was talking to Lorenz Tate.
Oh, wow.
Good dude, brilliant actor. Yeah, this was then though, not now. So I'm
Yeah.
not.
By any chance, was this when Hollywood was trying to ride off of hip hop movies with the success of NWA? They almost tried to make it a trend, so they rushed that horrible Tupac movie into production. Like, this will be the next thing. Hip hop biographies will be like superhero movies, and it died quickly.
Well, you kind of figured there was about 7 that came out, right after Biggie, Salt and Pepper, Tupac, New Edition. Yeah. Who else? A couple of more that came out.
There was like the Wu-Tang Netflix series,
Something.
right?
Yeah, right.
They're still filming for that.
So,
Right.
so I think if with the Public Enemy thing, the people, y'all would kind of put pressure on Hollywood, say, man, y'all better do this shit
Dude,
right.
it would be phenomenal.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, because Public Enemy is now an institution, like I said 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
And
but is it something Chuck would never let happen?
I can't answer that.
I hope
Chuck.
they keep working on them, because we would kill to
dude.
see that. I would kill to see that. Like, I don't know how they would depict it, but I would kill to see the characters representing Griff, Chuck, and Flav when they were young and just getting started, and what those relationships looked like, what growing up in Roosevelt looked like. Like, I would kill to see that. And it worked so fucking well with NWA.
Right.
That's a movie for the culture, the Public Enemy movie.
Y'all heard that. So a Public Enemy movie, they saying it will work. So let's see what
The
happens.
reason why we brought that up is we have a script right here. We want you to
He came ready with the script. God damn. But anyway, y'all, seriously, You Are the Song That You Sing.
Your
is on
flash
sale
one to the
now.
camera
Oh,
for
to
him,
this
Kev.
one.
All right, so make sure you'll cop it. You Are the Song That You Sing. These artists that are in this book have learned their ABCs, and they put these ABCs into songs for you to take this book and use it as a tool. If you're a parent, if you're an uncle, auntie, or whatever, so we can educate the children of the world on who these brilliant artists, some living, some have passed away, some are ancestors, some are elders living among us. But our children, all of our children, need to learn their ABCs and learn who these individuals are, and understand and know that there's a song inside of all of us. You are the song that you sing.
It's needed. It is needed. It is needed.
It's fantastic. Griff, I'm going to wrap it up with this one last question. You've been a fantastic guest. Our brand is Red Pill Lions. It's about embracing masculinity, responsibility, and truth, no matter if the truth is hard to swallow or not. So to you, the Minister of Information, Professor Griff, hip-hop legend, rock and roll Hall of Famer, what is the ultimate red pill to you? What's the ultimate hard truth to swallow in the world today?
The hard truth for me to swallow.
The ultimate red pill.
And I'm being very, very transparent. And something like this almost brings tears to my eyes for what I fought for all of this time, my whole entire life, since I've gotten knowledge of self and recognized what my reason for being on this planet is. I will probably not live to see it. That's just it. And I'm saying this in front of before the world. I might not see it. I might not see my children free. I might not see a place where I can just breathe free, man. Just free to be me. You understand what I'm saying? Not being judged by anything. Whether it's my complexion, my accent, my thinking, my spirituality, any of that. Just wanting to be free. I will probably never see that in my lifetime. The thing that I help usher in, this whole idea of consciousness in hip hop, I'll probably never see it come back around again in my lifetime. He asked a very important question, the idea of hip hop 20 years from now. If I get 82 and look back over my shoulder and see it, they could lower me in the ground a happy man, but I'll probably never live to see it. I'll never live to see the freedom that I envision in my spirit. That's the hard truth, man.
Wow.
Wow.
That's fucking heavy.
The effects that your work and your music and your message and your words and your lectures and your books, the effect it has had on listeners, viewers, music lovers alike around the world since you guys started has always been profound. That's why you're a legend.
give thanks,
That's
man.
why you're in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for coming.
Give thanks. Thank you very much. Really
Thank you, brother.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
This has been a very real episode of the Red Pill Lions. This is Professor Griff. We're the Savo Brothers. That's Richie B. Thank you for watching.